One behind me, I can show you the radar. The flash flood warning includes downtown Houston, also the Jersey Village area until 2:30 this afternoon. Now we're going to see heavy rains continuing for the next couple of hours. You can see this is a live view of 69 Southwest at Spur 527, but we've had road closures at I-10 at 610 due to high water. I mean, it's just right across the road. Here's 610 south of McGregor. Let's go to the weather maps over to Weather 1 if we could, and I'll show you the latest on this. We've got a low pressure center moving through the region. Out ahead of it, we've had rainfall rates of 2 to 3 inches per hour at 610 and I-10, recording 7.36 inches of rain from this event this morning, and that fell fast within about 3 hours, and that's what has caused this significant flooding. Right now, the heaviest rains around Jersey Village and Cypress, also the southwest side, and Sugar Land now getting in on it. So I would not be surprised if Katy and Sugar Land had new flash flood warnings issued later this afternoon as the system continues a bowling ball motion to the west, not to be stopped, but that's good news because it is moving. And the back edge of the flooding rain now is in Chambers County. So we've got about another 1 to 2 hours of this across downtown Houston before conditions slowly improve. Now, one thing to watch as this low pressure moves through is what's happening on the east side of the system. For the most part, this has been scattered rain, but of note, right at the Sabine River, it looks like a new area of heavy rain is developing. So with daytime heating, we could have new meteorological elements introduced to the system to further enhance the rain. Although what is most likely to happen for us is that after this pushes through, it will have essentially rained out the system and taken away a lot of those dynamics that could lead to serious rainfall rates. In other words, we'll be out of the woods by mid-afternoon, it looks like. That said, let's take a look at the latest future track animation. It does confirm that the heaviest rain moves west by 5:30. Lingering showers possible, may not be totally dry, but as far as this type of weather that's shutting down major freeways like I-10 in Houston at 610 on the west side and also 288, that should be over. And certainly by the time we see the fireworks tonight, we should be long gone. Actually, you might see some stars. It might be totally dry. So there are signs that things will be improving with this, but we've got a couple more hours to get through. Bottom line is this. I know, thankfully, we're not at work today, right? Well, we are, but you aren't, most likely. And that means that the roads are not as busy as they otherwise would be. But I also know that you have your barbecue to get to, you've got your pool party to get to. It's the 4th of July, right? It only comes once a year. This is your day off for work for the week. Please wait at least 3 hours before you hit the roads, because when you're looking at a freeway shutdown, boy, I'll tell you, that is no fun for those folks sitting on the highway. Doug, these TrendStar cams remind me of what we saw last August. What are you seeing?
You hate to think that too, and you hate to think about all the holidays Houston's been through. Tax Day floods, Memorial Day floods, and now
the 4th of July floods.
4th of July floods. It's incredible, and unfortunately hearing about some people with concerns about the water getting into their house. This is 288 the South Freeway near Southmore. Now earlier we were telling you 288 heading southbound was okay. With just a couple lanes blocked. But as you can see now, the southbound lanes entirely blocked. Consider them impassable. Some people were actually turning around. This guy didn't quite make it over here on the far right-hand side of the screen, where they could turn up onto an on-ramp, or it was an on-ramp. They were using it as an exit ramp to get back up. But these folks here, they're going to be in bad shape here pretty soon because they probably thought they could head southbound, but you can't. I'm going to load up a different camera in this same area. Again, all lanes blocked of 288 in both directions at Southmore. These people here exiting the freeway as best they can. And again, this is a construction zone, so it's no huge surprise that they're having drainage issues here. One more camera shot here. This is actually the northbound lanes we were showing you earlier. This has been blocked since about 9 a.m. now. But the big difference is we're not seeing traffic on the other side of the freeway. So that's bad news there. The situation has not improved on 288. No drainage due to all that construction that they've got going on. Let's talk about the Katy Freeway. Eastbound and westbound lanes impacted at Washington Avenue. And you can see some trucks made it through only to just stall out. Other people made it through and were able to clear the area. But the frontage road too, eastbound and westbound, wouldn't recommend it. Don't go there. Katy Freeway is shut down in both directions. There was a vehicle we've been showing you all morning where the vehicle was just halfway covered by water. It was just up to about midway section through the door panel, and now it was almost completely submerged. This is another look. Again, the Katy Freeway impassable. As you try and go under Post Oak, it's not going to work. And they have these little meters so you can see how high the water is along the side. But even this level right here, I can't read it from this camera shot on Houston TrendStar, but even at this level right here, just consider it's probably not passable. even by a pickup truck standards. Okay.
That's where the SUV was stalled.
Yeah, was it?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I-10 Katy Post Oak.
Okay, now looking here, this is a look at I-45 North at North Main. If you are heading into town, you're fine. If you're heading out of town, I-45 at North Main, and a list of high water roads continues to grow here. But again, I-45 North, northbound at North Main, we have some lanes blocked. So if you are heading out of town, out of downtown, that's where you're going to run into issues. If you're heading toward downtown on I-45 North, you're okay. Grace?
All right, thanks, Doug. Let's check in with Jason Miles. He's at 59 and Shepherd. Jason, what are you seeing out there?
Hey there, guys. A lot of water. In fact, this is the first day I've worn high water boots since Hurricane Harvey, so it's been a while. But as you can see on the Southwest Freeway, the southbound lanes pretty much blocked, all but one or two lanes. Really, one lane when we first got here. Now 2 lanes are passable. So I hope that means the water may be going down a little bit, but on the edge over here on the far outside lane, it's kind of like a little raging river we have going here. I've noticed a couple of cars backing off. Some people have stopped under these series of bridges that are in the Montrose area. Even a moving van, it looks like, decided to play safe and just stop there in the middle of the Southwest Freeway. Looking back this way, Sergio, if you can follow me, we're underneath Woodhead Street. That's above us. And over here on the exit ramp onto Shepherd and Greenbrier, you can see this storm drain we've been monitoring still spewing up a bunch of water, kind of like a little geyser coming up out of the storm drain. All of that water coming out onto the freeway, adding to the water that's already collected here along the roadway. Wrecker driver there has kind of blocked the ramp, and there's good reason for that. We went past him a little earlier and saw that a couple of cars stalled out, flooded out at the interchanges at both Shepherd and Greenbrier. Big tractor trailer is for some reason coming up behind me right now. Excuse me. He made it through the water. Obviously, it's easier for a high-profile vehicle like that. A couple of pickup trucks coming through as well. And naturally, we've seen some hot doggers as well. People in, jacked up trucks and such coming through this high water at speeds they really shouldn't be reaching in this kind of situation, probably just showing off a little bit. But that's something we often encounter in these types of conditions. The best advice, and you've heard the guys at the station say this over and over, the best advice is just to stay home. I know it's July 4th, a lot of people have plans, but over the next few hours, hopefully we'll see some of this water receding, as I think we've seen it recede a little bit along the Southwest Freeway. But again, lots of traffic on this holiday still trying to maneuver their way through this high water, and we'll continue to keep an eye on things out here, guys.
All right, thanks, Jason. I barely made it through that area myself this morning. Matt Doherty for us is live in Kingwood with an update on things there. Matt.
Grace, we've been here about an hour now, and the rain has not let up. It started to pouring once again, a little bit harder this time. Now, we first came out here earlier today to check out the 4th of July parade. That started at 10 o'clock this morning out here on Kingwood Drive. And there were lots of people who were participating in the parade, but lots more decided that they would take the advice that we've been giving people all day long: stay at home, watch it on television, and they did not show up to come see some of the floats that were riding through. If you're taking a look at the street right now, you can see it. You see a little bit of ponding over there, but everything is pretty much passable by all of the vehicles that are continuing to go outside this early afternoon. We're going to stay out here a little bit longer and see how the conditions continue. We're standing right outside of a McDonald's right now. Just kind of a reminder of how badly hit this area was by our last major flood during Harvey. It still has not reopened. So these people out here do take this very seriously. However, there are a lot of those folks who want to get out there on the roads and take care of some errands on the 4th of July, and you can see them, but they don't seem to be struggling right now. Grace, back to you.
Thank you, Matt. Rainice Edwards is on the phone for us now from TxDOT. Rainice, we understand you have an update on 288.
Yes, and I am actually with Lewis Transportation Group, which is the developer for the KHOU project. So right now, what we have is very close to
Rainice, we're just having a little trouble hearing you. Go ahead and repeat.
Road onto the feeder.
Rainice, if you'll just start over for us, go ahead and repeat what you're saying. We want people to hear that update. It's just a little.
And at the 610 288 area, all traffic is being diverted to
All right, that is Rainey's Edwards from TxDOT with an update on 288 for us. We'll try to get her back in just a few minutes. A little hard to hear her right now. Stay with us here on KHOU 11 News. We'll be right back.
Houston is a bustling metropolis. There is a lot to keep up with, and sadly, there's a lot of bad. I hear from you guys all the time. Mia, I don't watch the news. It's depressing. Here's the thing, we have to tell you about that. It's our job to keep you informed, but for every bad story, there's a good story that we're going to bring to you. It is about balancing the good with the bad. That's one of the ways KHOU stands for Houston.
Lazy Boy Furniture Galleries helps make your living room almost too comfortable. It's the 4th of July sale. Right now only, get 0% interest until January 2021. Lazy Boy Furniture Galleries. Live life comfortably.
Go, 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 RVing.
At the See America Getaway Sale at Holiday World RV, there's something for every adventure and something for every budget. Bunkhouse travel trailers from $105 a month. Lightweight travel trailers, $109 a month. Fiberglass travel trailers, $135 a month. Bunkhouse fifth wheels, $215 a month. Even Class C motorhomes from $399 a month. Plus over 1,500 RVs online to choose from. Holiday World RV, Katy, League City, Willis, a world of difference.
When you go, 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 RVing.
More and more people are finding themselves in a Chevy for the first time. Now you can too during the Chevy 4th of July sales event. Now through July 9th, get 8 to 20% below MSRP on your favorite Chevy models. That's over $5,600 on this Chevy Equinox. This 4th of July, discover why Chevy is the most awarded and fastest growing brand the last 4 years overall. Chevy drives Texas. Find new roads.
Take flight with Space Center Houston's Days of Elevation with the new Above and Beyond. Visit the Red Planet in Mission Mars. Cruise through Independence Plaza. Go faster, higher, farther. Only at Space Center Houston's Days of Elevation. Lazy Boy Furniture Galleries helps make your living room almost too comfortable. It's the 4th of July sale. Right now only, get 0% interest until January 2021. Lazy Boy Furniture Galleries. Live life comfortably.
Welcome back. As we continue to track flooding across our area, we want to check in with our Adam Bennett. He is right outside the University of Houston with an update. Adam.
Yeah, so this is Spur 5 right by I-45. It's a problem spot every time we get a really heavy rain. Today is no exception. This is nowhere you want to be if you're driving a car. A couple of cars here have already gotten stuck. Now this one to your left is kind of a silver sedan. It's windshield wipers were on, the lights were on. We did see police go over there and check it out. They did not seem concerned. And just a moment ago, a couple of people that we see standing maybe 100 feet or so away from the car, they went back over, they turned off the wipers, opened the door, looked like maybe they were checking to see if they could salvage any items as well, and then they walked away. So it looks like everybody is safely out of that car. Definitely some good news there. Now, just moments before we showed up, we saw a car here stuck, this red car over here. As we were rounding the corner, we couldn't really tell whether or not somebody was still inside, and then we saw what looked like somebody's arm waving from the passenger seat. We get closer, we yell out to them, and right on cue, a Houston police car actually shows up. They come over, they walked over, trudged through the water, and helped the two people in that car make it out safely. They are okay. They actually had to escape through the windows. Pretty incredible to see, but they were able to get out. I asked them if they're doing okay. There was a bit of a language barrier, but we were able to communicate enough to where the woman inside the car told me, yes, they are okay. Everybody made it out safely. So definitely some good news there. At the same time, there was another car that was pulled over just off to the side. Looks like they have moved it and backtracked, but it was 3 different people. They told us that there were actually a couple more cars that were surrounded by water and stuck where they were a little bit further down the I-45 feeder road. So they went with police to go take care of that as well. The good news is we have not seen anybody hurt up to this point, and from what we heard just a minute ago, no reports of anybody injured. That being said, as you can see behind me, this is nowhere you want to be driving. This water can come down so fast. I actually was out driving to go shoot some video of cars driving through the rain with their flashers on for what was originally going to be my story today. Not even 10 minutes down the street, The pavement was slick, but there was no real ponding or any kind of flood spots. I come back not 15 minutes later, and several different intersections around the University of Houston are covered with water and impassable. My SUV was not able to make it. A lot of other cars as well. And I think my producer's talking to me. I believe this is video of the moment I was talking about from just a minute ago. Forgive me if it's not. It is. Okay. Where the police showed up. They trudged through this very high water over to these two people, man and a woman, who were inside of this car. Again, they had just crawled out of the driver's side window, just whatever belongings they could take with them. And they were able, with the help of police, to make it safely out of this water. And again, they didn't really feel like talking much. There was a little bit of a language barrier, but they did tell me that they are okay. Police have been so busy out here, not just HPD, but also we've seen University of Houston police and no doubt a number of other agencies all around town. They've been trying to keep people from even going into these intersections in the first place. Just a little bit up Spur 5, they were blocking the way. They were giving people alternate routes to go, pointing out a detour, and also trying to set up roadblocks with their vehicles, anything they can do to keep a situation like this from happening. But you don't need us to tell you, we've seen this before with a number of other storms. This is such a dangerous situation that can change so quickly. So again, if you don't absolutely have to be on the road, if it's not an emergency, it's best to stay home today. Grace.
Adam, what an incredible story. So glad they're okay out there. Our Brooks Garner continues to track the forecast for us. Any relief in sight, Brooks?
Yeah, Grace, we do see relief in sight. The good news is this. The bayous are largely doing their job. The only spot that looks like it's rising is called the Willow Waterhole at Lansdowne, southwest Houston near Bel Air, and it's getting near crest. But as far as other spots, like on the northwest side at 290, around the various waterways there, some of the higher water is now starting to recede. And as far as intensity of this low that continues to move through the region, yes, we still have flash flood warnings in effect till 2:30, but now we're going to start to track the west side for potential flooding. Now, this is far more rural, so there's more drainage, of course, than these heavily cemented urban centers, which all the runoff happens on. So hopefully it's not quite as bad there. But that said, we've seen 7.5 inches of rain across parts of Houston in the last 3 hours. Just think about that. That's incredible. 7.5 inches for these 4th of July floods. And right now on I-10 at 610, freeway shut down. That's that infamous underpass under 610, and it's high water on both sides. Flash flood warnings for downtown and for the northwest side till 2:30 as conditions continue to experience sopping rains. But as far as the heaviest flooding right now, I see this cell west of Cypress as being one as it rotates down through Katy and Cinco Ranch. But as far as farther east from where the weather's coming, it's coming from the east moving west. There are some spots where it's starting to weaken a little bit. That's very good news. This would be a maybe half-inch per hour rainfall rates, which would allow the bayous to continue to drain. But if we do see pockets of heavier rain, like we're seeing down by the Fort Bend County Tollway that's already been hit hard with very heavy rains, it's just additional runoff over already saturated grounds. We've also had nearly 7 inches of rain near NRG Stadium where there were reports of cars stalled. On the east side, still raining as far east as the Sabine Pass with deep tropical moisture being pulled in, but it's not an organized low. The back edge of the really heavy rain right now is around Baytown, and this whole slug of moisture is heading west at 20 miles an hour. Now, don't forget this area. We haven't forgotten about you, Bay City, down Angleton, Clute Lake, Jackson. You're just now starting to see the very heavy rains of about 2 inches per hour. So we could certainly start to see some flooding issues in your neck of the woods, maybe even flash flooding issues. So heads up in those typical low spots, those low water crossings, some of the crossroads where it gets really, really low. Flash flood warning till 2:30 continues. Heaviest rain now pushing west, but overall, look at the radar trends. See how it's starting to sort of weaken a little bit. That's very good news. Bayous doing their jobs, streets flooding, but so far houses are not. And we hope that trend continues as this moves west. Now I want to show you future track. Very interesting setup. Here's 1:30. As we're talking about, and as we've been talking about for the last couple of days, the flood threat moves west. And by 5:30, that's it. Nothing more than lingering showers, which means for our 4th of July plans this evening, we may get off without a hitch. So that would be very good news. But if you have to go to the barbecue today across town, just wait 2 or 3 hours. Let these floodwaters subside. Doug, what are you seeing out there on the roads?
We still have a few cars sitting on the side of the freeway waiting to find dry land. Take a look. I'm going to show you the quick breakdown of some of the major spots where we have high water. This is not an invitation to take I-10 to East Freeway or East Tex Freeway or Gulf Freeway just because the roads are passable. Katy Freeway, both directions at Washington. 610 West Loop, we have the frontage road blocked at West Park in both directions. In addition, the West Park Tollway eastbound, that little underpass, it's filled with water right now. 288, both directions at Southmore, it is blocked due to all that construction. There's no drainage there. 610 the South Loop frontage road at 288 also has issues. Now, the Southwest Freeway, for now, you're looking pretty good on the main lanes. It's the frontage road where you can see some of those cars stalled out. The drivers tried to make it. They just couldn't. Some people taking those entrance ramps, treating them as exit ramps. You can see this is at Buffalo Speedway where several vehicles are just stuck. They stalled out and now they're just waiting it out. They're scared to get back in the main lanes, or they stalled out earlier trying to get out of this mess. And this is the frontage road as you head inbound or northbound toward downtown on the Southwest Freeway. You can see at Buffalo Speedway it's completely blocked. Your main lanes look like they're okay right now. There are some pumps at the spur that pump all that water out where the road dips down. And if right now it looks like they're doing their job. There was a little bit of high water earlier due to some a wall that cracked and water was just pouring onto the roadway, but it looks like they got that pumped out. Now looking at the Katy Freeway, this is another big jam up. This is at the West Loop camera, but it's actually closer to Washington where you're stopped in both directions on the Katy Freeway. And even a big rig, you can see on the left-hand side of the screen, it completely stalled out. If they can't make it through, you can't make it through. Not even in your Ford F-150, not in your Chevy Silverado. You're not going through in a pickup truck. If it's jacked up with a snorkel, maybe, but I would not recommend it. In fact, I saw another vehicle earlier trying to do that, and Houston police said nope, and they turned him around, made him go back around. Loading up a couple of other cameras here from Houston TransStar. Again, this is Katy Freeway, not far from what I was just showing you. That's blocked in both directions at Washington. And this is where we saw that SUV earlier. It looks like they somehow got it towed out of the way. It was sitting right there, and it was almost completely submerged at one point, or it's now completely submerged, and that's what I'm thinking is happening. It's now completely submerged. It's hard to tell from that water gauge on the left. I doubt there's tow trucks out there actively trying to get people moved out of the way. I-45 northbound, so if you're heading away from downtown, we do have a couple of lanes blocked. And actually, see what happens when I say they may not be out there doing it. Look at this tow truck driver, hard at work, trying to get some of these vehicles out of that high water. Right-hand lanes blocked on I-45 north as you head northbound toward North Main. So this is very close to downtown, and you can see this tow truck actually is getting that vehicle out of there, but it's slow as you head northbound because you only have essentially 1 or 2 lanes getting by as people work to try and avoid that high water. The southbound lanes, if you're heading toward downtown, you can barely see downtown in the distance there. That's the downtown skyline. So those southbound lanes on I-45 north are actually moving. Okay, 634. Let's load up this camera, 634 here. This is going to be the 610 South Loop, and we had issues along the South Loop again with the frontage road, and this is at Alameda. You can see the flashing lights of a tow truck just off camera here. What you can't see is the 610 South Loop frontage road is partially blocked in both directions at Alameda or FM 521, call it what you will. And then we had another issue on the West Loop northbound at West Park. I was showing you this on the map earlier, and look how much more water is inside this ramp. It kind of dips down as you approach the Galleria skyline in the background there. So this is where the West Park Tollway heading eastbound is completely cut off. And unfortunately, in previous floods, we've seen fatalities here because people simply didn't know the water was there. They thought this water was the roadway. It happened in the overnight hours. This is happening in daylight, so you can actually see what's going on. Don't go in there. That's got to be at least 10 to 15 feet of water on the West Park Toll Road as it curves northbound heading toward the Galleria. A couple more cameras here for you. I'm going to load up again. The big one that got its early start with being shut down was 288, the South Freeway. I showed you this on the map earlier. You can see 288, earlier it was just the northbound lanes that were blocked. That started just after 9 a.m. this morning. They're forcing you off at Southmore. The Southmore Bridge is no more. They've torn it up. It's being reconstructed right now, and as part of this reconstruction, there's likely no drainage in this area. That means the ponding really kicks in, high water really kicks in. We have several feet of water blocking the northbound lanes, and now just a couple hours later, 3 hours later, guess what happened? The southbound side is now blocked as well. I can show you from another angle of some of what's going on in that area. But again, avoid the South Freeway. It is completely shut down in both directions. You could take the 610 loop to get around town if you absolutely had to, but you can see no traffic is getting by. And in fact, this is where I was kind of joking with Brooks earlier. We saw a truck that was going through. It actually had a snorkel and it was jacked up, but it barely made it through. And Houston police said, move it along. Not sure why he was out there playing around. So we're going to keep a close eye on this situation. We'll be back in a few minutes with the latest forecast, find out when some of this rain is going to come to an end.
Reading can spark your imagination.
Take you to faraway places.
And on adventures you've never dreamed of.
That's why KHOU 11 is helping to collect gently used children's books.
Donate your children's books at these locations.
Brought to you by Mackay Ford, Phillips 66, and the University of Houston.
Benefiting books between kids.
So let's turn the page together. KHOU stands for Houston.
Get ready for the 2018 hurricane season. Pick up your hurricane preparedness guide today.
These are the happy smiles made possible by Hannah Dental.
My teeth are awesome. I don't have to worry about them breaking all the time.
With many years of experience, cutting-edge technology, and a variety of dental implant options, Dr. Hannah can help you affordably have the smile you've always wanted.
Thank you, Dr. Hannah.
Call 855-DR-HANNAH by Tuesday to receive an additional 15% off.
This Independence Day, Kroger is proud to honor all of our associate veterans.
Brought to you by Metro. Drive less, do more.
This could work.
Are you a search and rescue?
No, I'm with the resort.
What? Welcome back. Let's check back in with our Jason Miles.
Yeah, he's at 59 and Shepherd, where all the bridges are. Jason, what's the situation now? It doesn't look like it's getting any better.
We're just going to start on the shot here instead of me, guys. You can see the Southwest Freeway. This is the outbound lanes, the southbound lanes. When we first arrived here, sorry, there's a big truck, a loud truck going by. When we first arrived here, one lane was pretty much passable. That went to 2 lanes, and now really the third inner lane is kind of opening up here. You see beyond that moving truck that's parked in the middle there, cars are coming around it and kind of getting past us pretty easily here. It was a much different story when we first arrived. Heavy ponding along the Southwest Freeway, and several lanes completely underwater. A couple of lanes are still underwater. This is the area underneath the Montrose bridges. In fact, we're underneath the first bridge you get to heading north, Woodhead Street. And back behind me, I'll show you in a second. Meantime, I'm standing in what looks like a mini river here. This is water coming from the exit ramp onto Shepherd and Greenbrier. Water just coming down here at a rapid pace. One reason is because that storm drain we've been keeping an eye on, the water just gushing up over into the street from that storm drain. Another news crew here we're getting around. And once you get beyond the ramp, there are a couple of cars that flooded out and people basically abandoned them. But the wrecker that was blocking traffic has now moved along as things hopefully start improving here, guys.
Jason, it's hard to tell out there. Are things getting better from what you're seeing?
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Sure, Jason. It's hard to tell out there. Is the situation improving from what you're seeing?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. As I mentioned, we've gone from 1 passable lane down to 3 passable lanes right now, heading southbound. So it appears as if this water that has ponded on the Southwest Freeway is slowly receding. At the same time, though, you've got all the water kind of coming down from the exit ramp onto Shepherd, adding to the water that's already on the freeway. But the pumps or the drains or whatever that are underneath the bridges seem to be catching up a little bit, and the traffic load, which was backed up pretty heavily heading toward downtown, is now moving better than we've seen since we've been out here for the last hour, hour and a half or so, guys.
All right, Jason, well, that's some positive news, which we've been waiting for all morning long. I drove in from the Heights, and there was no problem in the Heights. I got on 610 and 45. A little bit of ponding on 45 about 20 minutes ago.
Interesting, though. Houston Fire Department said the Heights is one of the areas where they had the most calls from this morning.
No, at least not in my neighborhood.
Well, that's good,
But,
yeah.
and then getting off, our studios are now at U of H.
Right.
They are closing off, or they had been closing off the ramps to Scott and Cullen, and some of the roads here on the campus have been closed off by police. But talking to our meteorologist, so the worst of the rain is over, so that's some positive
And
news.
that is good news.
Yeah.
Brooks,
Yes.
what's going on out there now?
So we're going to see generally improving conditions, but it's still going to be raining for a couple more hours. We had this acute flooding rain that came through, lasted for about 2 to 3 hours, dumped over 7.5 inches of rain across parts of Houston on the west side in the uptown area around 610 and I-10 Memorial Park. Flash flood warnings in effect until 2:30, letting that water slowly subside. Obviously, so many closures still in effect right now, including I-10 west at 610 and 288 around Southmore, south of town. The heaviest rain right now is moving into the western Harris County area, also getting into places like Sealy and eventually Columbus, Fulshire, Brookshire. So that's the flooding rain right there. This is more of a nuisance. Runoff is runoff, though. This is heavy enough where it's going to continue adding to the already saturated grounds. And while the flooding may not get worse, it will slow the recession of those flood waters. So what you see is what you get for at least the next hour. If you've got any plans to go across town to hit that 4th of July barbecue, just hold up, wait till maybe 2, even 3 o'clock before you even bother to leave the house, because we're going to have a lot of issues, a lot of traffic. We've just had so many stalled cars around the region. So this is what we've got in downtown right now. The yellow is indicating a moderate rain, not a super heavy rain. The oranges do indicate a heavy rain, and the reds, that's the flooding rain now, which is rotating southward toward Katy and toward Cinco Ranch. So heads up, would not be surprised this afternoon if we see more flash flood warnings issued west of these existing warnings. But one thing you've got going for you there is it's more rural, so there's more opportunity for all that rain to run off into its natural drainage basins. The back edge of the heavy rain is around Liberty to Baytown. This is more scattered rain, but if you look here out to sea over the Gulf, there are some pockets of heavier rain that may rotate in. So while the steady heavy rain will be over in the next, say, 2 hours, we may still pick up some intermittent downpours before the day is out. Though by the time we hit the fireworks, I'd be surprised if we saw any more rain. So that's good news in that sense. Okay, on the south side, Freeport, Clute, Lake Jackson, Angleton, heavy rains across Matagorda County. No warnings there yet, but we'll continue to watch that carefully. Downtown still getting hit hard. This is part of a much bigger system. It's an upper level low that's been pushing west ever so slowly, originating in the southeast, went across Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, and now it's in southeast Texas. It'll continue moving west, moving toward Austin and San Antonio tonight. So that said, let's take a look at Future Track. Does a very good job, I think, in depicting the system as it stands now and what may become of it, keeping that slug of very heavy rain at 1:30 this afternoon and about an hour from now west. And by the time we get into about 6 o'clock, 2 hours before the sun sets and it starts getting dark, for the most part the rain is over, with the exception of some lingering lighter nuisance showers. You still may get some rain on the barbecue this afternoon, but it's not going to be this really dangerous situation. Then after that, things start to clear up. So in the forecast, things are looking much, much better. And once we get done with this very heavy rain, this 2 to 3 inch per hour type stuff, we're going to see a much, much better afternoon. But right now things are crawling along the freeways, and it's not good to be out on the roads. Doug, I've been surprised to just see how quickly some of these feeder roads and even some of the major freeways like I-10 and 288 filled up with water in those typical low spots and actually shut down.
Yeah, absolutely. And currently we have 17 high water locations reported around town. I'm going to load up this map here for you and zoom in. But first, you know, some people have written in saying, hey, there are other people outside Beltway 8. The good news for you is, yes, there's a lot of rain, but we're not getting Houston TransStar reports of flooding, for instance, along the East Tex Freeway in the Kingwood area. You know, a lot of people concerned up there after Harvey. I know this. I-45 north up towards Spring. No reports of high water along the roadways up there. Yes, there's heavy rainfall in the Cypress area right now. We have some slowdowns reported on 290 Cypress Jersey Village area. But again, the water there is staying within its levels enough that it's not causing an impact on your freeways. Now, looking closer at some of our major shutdowns related to the high water, we're talking about the 610 West Loop, the frontage road in both directions at West Park, the West Park Tollway eastbound at Post Oak. It's a dramatic camera view. I'll show that in a second. I-10 to Katy Freeway in both directions still completely blocked at Washington. So look out for that one. 288 again blocked in both directions. All main lanes shut down at Southmore, and that's in that heavy construction zone where there's ponding on the roadway. 610 South Loop frontage road at 288, we have some blockage there. Now looking, this is actually where we were getting a live report from earlier with Jason Miles in that cracked wall. He's down here somewhere, and you can see, yes, earlier, like he was talking about, we had cars stacking up on the Southwest Freeway as he tried to head outbound, leaving downtown. Thankfully, right now, it looks like all lanes are open as you go toward and leave the spur 527. Even with that dip down, they have the motors running, they have the pumps running along this roadway, and they're keeping the water clear. Now, the problem with the Southwest Freeway is actually on the frontage road as you head toward downtown. This is a live shot from Buffalo Speedway. You can see cars stopped on the shoulder along the ramp. Some cars stopped down here just waiting for this frontage road. This guy's going to go for it. Wouldn't recommend it, guy. There he goes. This is a lot of deep water right there. Unless you've got a very tall pickup truck, you're going to be lucky to make it through there. So I don't know. He's going to try it. There he goes. He's going off into the distance, and he's going to give it a go up here, and he's just going to go right out of camera range. So we're not really going to know the end of the story on that one, but I hope he makes it out when his car stalls out because like we've been telling you, yes, the rain's starting to let up, but you're not going to see some relief on some of these roads for a little while longer. So I hope that he doesn't end up stuck down the road and end up one of these tow trucks that has to tow people out. Now looking here at the Southwest Freeway Wesleyan, earlier this frontage road was completely impassable, but now you can see only one right side of the frontage road looks like it's blocked. There's a police car going through right now, likely gathering a little bit more reports to let people know if they can go through there or not. And look, there's another tow truck carrying somebody who got stuck in that high water. And yes, we know some people, you end up in it, you don't realize, you get caught off guard, and it's just what happens, and you have no choice but to try and make it out. And it is what it is, and you end up with a car that's trashed with that high water. Now looking here, pickup trucks and 18-wheelers not making it through. This is the Katy Freeway in both directions at Washington. Houston TransStar shot showing us the West Loop camera in both directions. All lanes of the Katy Freeway are shut down. I'm going to show you one other camera right in the same area, and this was the camera shot we've been looking at with that SUV. I believe there's an SUV in here. I don't think that they got it towed out of the way. They might have. But there was an SUV we were keeping an eye on. It was like halfway up the door, and then we looked at it about 20, 30 minutes later, and it was all the way up to the roof. SUV could be down there. Nobody was inside it. We know that they got out. We were looking around at those camera shots. We did not see anybody moving around inside. So again, this is the Katy Freeway at Post Oak. And Post Oak, where it dips down to go under the Katy Freeway and under the interchange just north of the Galleria, we know there were some issues there. I-45 northbound, checking back in at North Main Street. So if you're heading northbound, you're heading away from downtown. You can see the downtown skyline in the distance there just a little bit through all that rain. If you're heading northbound out of downtown, the right-hand lane's impacted. You're slowing down to just one or two lanes that are able to squeeze by with that water. Now, thankfully, from what we're hearing, this shouldn't get worse. And actually, since TransStar's flipping the camera, let's stick around with this for 1 second. And you can see as you head farther out, so now this is the outbound side. Again, we have cars getting towed away. Again, they ended up stuck on the side of the road, and just not a good place to be when you end up in one of those scenarios with the heavy rain. With the rain letting up, hopefully we'll start to see some of these road conditions improve. And I'll remind you, you can download and look at the live list of all the high water spots that we know of right now on the homepage of KHOU.com and our mobile app. Again, the South Loop frontage road and main lanes partially impacted by some high water. This is both directions at 288, the South Freeway. The South Freeway itself, I'll load this up. I was talking about this on the map, and you can see in that construction area where they have ponding issues, high water, the construction just has some drainage issues. And this is the lanes, this is the northbound side. It's shut down just after 9 a.m. And it's been shut down ever since. They're forcing you off at Southmore because that's just where the water covers the road. Now, the southbound lanes, they were open for 2 more hours, and then the water got high enough that they had to block it off as well. So now the 288 between 3rd Ward, the Medical Center and Museum District area, it's completely blocked in both directions. That's really no surprise there with all that construction. As you know, that creates a problem with drainage issues. 610 West Loop northbound at West Park Drive. This is the camera shot that's so dramatic I was talking about earlier. This is at least 15, 20 feet of water at this point. Every time we show this camera from Houston TransStar, it gets higher and higher. Now, this is a very deep dip down as you're traveling on the West Park Toll Road where it curves around heading toward the Galleria. You can see the Galleria in the background. And unfortunately, we have people who have driven into this water before, flooding in this exact spot. And unfortunately, they didn't make it out. They passed away. They died in the floodwater at this location. So again, it's not one of the areas you want to get stuck in looking at that. So again, just a reminder, a quick wrap up. You can go to KHOU.com. You can look at these flooded roads list again. What I was just showing you was the 610 frontage road area. The 610 frontage road as well, the west loop in both directions at West Park, it's partially blocked. There's a lot of construction there. And then the West Park Tollway, that's the camera I was just showing you, eastbound at Post Oak is shut down. Guys.
All right, thank you so much, Doug. We got some breaking news involving the big 4th of July celebration along the banks of Buffalo Bayou, the Freedom Over Texas celebration. The good news is the fireworks celebration is on tonight, but the musical acts have all been canceled, so no music tonight at the big 4th of July along the banks of the bayou, but they will still have the fireworks. Okay,
nice to see that the fireworks will go on, but an important announcement that all the concerts have been canceled.
Yeah, I think they're trying to save some equipment. It's a bad place to be right now along the banks of Buffalo Bayou. Also, some information coming out of the city of Bel Air. Their Emergency Operations Center has been activated. Bel Air continues to experience street flooding, so keep that in mind. Several streets are being closed because they're impassable there in Bel Air.
Cities across our area continuing to watch this developing situation. We want to check back in with our Adam Bennett. He's near the University of Houston. And Adam, you've had a pretty incredible morning out there.
Yeah, it's been unbelievable. A couple high water rescues that have happened at this intersection. We'll get to that in a minute.
I was going to do some errands on Broadway and then go back. I live in Greens Point.
Okay.
And I didn't know it was like this, so we're stuck out here now.
You're a long way from Greens Point.
Yes.
What did the driver tell you?
They told us to get off the bus and just like, we caught the purple train. All the trains are stopped. Yeah, and we had to catch another bus. We had to get off and catch the bus. And then we had to walk through here, so I'm on a mission. I got to get to where I'm going and try to get back.
Yeah, so at this point, drivers, people taking the bus, really anybody just trying to get to their final destination however they can. We see somebody here over on a bicycle, dressed for the weather, definitely, but still a tough journey no matter how you're trying to get there at this point. Again, the good news is the water level has gone down. The U-turn lane has opened underneath this underpass, and it's still pretty high. Yeah, a lot of drivers have pulled up and kind of made that decision of whether or not they want to chance it. You can see a couple of them, couple made it over here, but still better to be safe than sorry and turn around. The rain is still a problem at this point. A lot of streets still flooded, especially these underpasses. We'll send it back to you.
All right, thank you, Adam, for the update. Glad everyone's okay out there.
More coverage after this.
Big Brother is all new. I love it. Season 20. Here we go. And getting a high-tech reboot.
What the what?
In this game, if you're not trending, it could be.
Game over.
Bring it on. Julie Chen hosts Big Brother. All new CBS tonight at 9/8 Central.
It's life or death.
It was a hit and run.
Rocks are Haired Angels.
For one of their own.
I'm with you. We'll do this together.
New Code Black, CBS tonight.
When a customer walks in here, you treat them like family. Because it's not a car, it's Melanie. And she's a single mom, and she's got 2 kids, and she puts her trust in me to fix her car. That's what it's all about. It's taking care of the customer. And there's only one way to do the job. It's the right way. My name is Alex, and I'm proud to keep your car running newer, longer.
Firestone Complete Auto Care. Whatever you drive, drive a Firestone.
Hurry out to Gallery Furniture Giant 4th of July Super Sale open until 10 p.m. tonight. Buy Made in America furniture today. Save lots of money today. Deferred interest financing, of course, available. Gallery Furniture delivers tonight. No frustrating waiting or back orders. The biggest American holiday 4th of July deserves the biggest Made in America furniture sale ever. On sale tonight till 10 o'clock in all 3 Gallery Furniture locations. Living room furniture, dining room furniture, bedroom furniture. Delivered today. 4th of July saves you money today.
Welcome back, everybody. As we continue our storm coverage today and all the flooding that's going on in town, we have to reiterate as we take a live look at City Hall as we await for the official announcement. But we know already that the big 4th of July party planned in Eleanor Tinsley Park tonight is on as far as the fireworks are concerned, but the music has been canceled. So we're waiting for more word on exactly what's going to be going on along the banks of the bayou tonight and what's going on there right now at City Hall. We'll be bringing that to you momentarily.
Yeah, that press conference expected to start in just a few minutes. Meantime, our Brooks Garner is tracking the forecast. And Brooks, we're so excited to hear on this 4th of July that you said things are improving.
Yeah, they will be slowly, but guys, we're talking about Buffalo Bayou and Freedom Over Texas. This is a live view of Buffalo Bayou. It's over the banks in this location, a view from the St. Thomas High School in Houston. Shepherd. This is at Shepherd, and see this little footbridge? That's like one of the little walking bridges. It's a beautiful little path, but completely underwater right now. So the roads are okay, like Allen Parkway is okay, and Memorial Drive is okay, but it's the park itself. It's doing what it's designed to do. I mean, it's a flood basin. This is what it's designed for. So Freedom Over Texas is downstream about, I don't know, maybe a half a mile. And you can bet that this water is probably at least in those volleyball fields down there and could be presenting some problems. So that tells the story as to why they've canceled the concert. As for the rain, so it's going to continue raining for at least another couple of hours, but the really heavy rains that produced this flooding and dumped over 7.5 inches of rain in just 3 hours has now moved west of downtown Houston. But that means that areas along I-10, between I-10 and 290, are going to be hit very hard over the next couple of hours. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw new flash flood warnings here, although one thing they have going for them is it's a very rural area in the Colorado River Basin and the Brazos River basins. So that's good for them. It'll be a good soaking, but as far as the stuff that caused all the flooding, it's now moving west. That said, it's still raining, moderate to heavily, not the kind of rain that'll make the flooding worse, but certainly the kind of rain that it will slow the recession of floodwaters. So, live view downtown, zooming in. Flash flood warnings continue till 2:30 for downtown Houston and for the Jersey Village area, Cypress, Spring. And that just means heads up. Obviously, we've got those high water spots. We've got closures continuing. I-10 west at 610 right here is shut down. Water across the freeway. Amazing to see. But once you look east, the rain becomes less intense and more scattered in nature, where there's big breaks between the rain. But we do have to watch these little pockets, because this afternoon, as the system continues moving toward the west, we're going to see these little pockets working north. So we could have some periodic downpours this afternoon, just adding to the nuisance of this being the 4th of July and all of our barbecue plans. But as far as this continuing to get worse, we're not seeing any homes being flooded at this time. This is just street flooding. It's just an annoyance, and it looks like as far as the flooding getting worse, we're pretty much there, and we're going to start to see those waters starting to recede. On the south side, still getting some heavy rains, though not as bad as in the center of this area of low pressure over the downtown area. Notice how it went from really heavy rains earlier this morning to now more of a moderate rain as the low itself pushes toward the west and the atmospheric dynamics change just a little bit. But this is a very interesting system in that, eyeballing it, it has a kind of tropical thing going on with it, but it's an upper level system. Now, if it was over water, we'd be dealing with a quick spin up of something, and that's just not the case. It's at this point technically known as an inverted trough. And this just means that while the dirty side is usually on the east side of a system like this, now it's on the north side, because the whole thing's kind of tipped over, and so the dynamics are on the north side. So that's what's going on with this thing. That's why the flooding's been more intense in Houston than, say, in Brazoria County. Now this afternoon, we're going to see this action moving toward the west, which means our rain chances shut down. That's great news for fireworks this evening. Here's 6 o'clock. If the RPM model, which we're seeing here, is any kind of accurate, we're looking at conditions vastly improving quickly this afternoon, but we could still see some lingering periodic showers, maybe even a downpour through the evening. But for the fireworks tonight, it looks like we're going to be A-OK. It's just, whew, what fireworks this morning. Just give it a few more hours before you hit those roadways. Now, our rain chances aren't done in the long-term forecast. In fact, we could see another round of heavy rain on Thursday, but it'd be nothing like what we just saw now. And I haven't shown you this yet. 7-day forecast. Here we are during the noon hour of the newscast, and we got to take a look at this because we've got a rainy pattern that will continue. We could see another round of very heavy rain at some point this weekend. Too soon to say when, but it's all thanks to the same weather pattern. East to west systems with a huge heat wave in the northern states. But down here, it's all about the tropical moisture. So conditions continuing to improve. You can see in our forecast, it goes from the high chance of rain to a lower chance of rain through this evening. Doug, it is a murky lunch hour. At least it's not so hot outside. 74 is not bad.
You know, earlier this week I was telling Cheetah, at least we get a little bit of rain, a little relief from the heat. I take that back. I'd give up 100. I'd want 100 degrees right now. If you could be in a boat, you could be out on Lake Conroe having fun. Unfortunately, this is what we have. Take a look. A little bit of a slowdown on the Katy Freeway far out west near Grand Parkway. Cypress, Jersey Village, 290 is doing a little bit slow out toward Grand Parkway again, and that's because some of those heavy rains are moving in there. Again, no standing water reported in those areas, at least not on the main lanes of the freeway. I just want to address, because some people have written in saying, hey, there's life outside Beltway 8. But unfortunately, some of the worst of the flooding that we've had as far as freeways go has been inside the 610 loop, really. We're talking about the Katy Freeway in both directions of Washington, 288 in both directions, all main lanes blocked on 288, the South Freeway. 610 has some frontage road issues on the south side at 288. And again, those are some construction areas there, so obviously they're going to have some drainage issues. 610 West Loop frontage road at West Park, it has some issues just south of the Galleria. And again, that's an interchange. It's under major reconstruction. So when you have construction zone, you mix it in with a lot of rain in a short period of time. There's no drainage. There's nowhere for any of this water to go. And this is a look at the West Park Toll Road. Houston TransStar is showing us this shot of the West Park Toll Road as you head eastbound and as it connects you to Post Oak. So this is if you're going toward the Gallery area. You can see the Galleria skyline in the background just a little bit through that rain. And unfortunately, people have died at this very spot before when they've driven into high water. And this is a very deep spot. It goes way down, then you go back up to get street level again as you head into the Galleria. And it's just one of those spots that's almost designed to collect water. And yes, they have pumps in these areas. So don't be surprised if you see this tonight, tomorrow, and all the water is gone. It's because they have a way to pump it out very quickly. Now let's talk about the Katy Freeway. Houston TransStar shot. This is along the West Loop camera, but again, we're talking about Washington here, and all lanes blocked of the Katy Freeway in both directions. You notice how the freeway is empty? It's because people can't get anywhere. Even some big rigs that tried to make it through earlier ended up getting stalled out, and they're spinning this camera around, and this is actually the flooded portion in the distance, and all these people are just kind of stuck. The flooded portion being right here behind me, and it looks like they've moved a few more cars out of the way. So thankfully, when this water does get drained out and it moves on, hopefully people can continue their route pretty quickly because they've moved some of the stalled cars out of the way. Hats off to the tow truck drivers working so hard today, going even into the floods to remove some of the water. It looks to me like that flooded SUV that was in here earlier was up almost to the roof. This thing was almost completely submerged, the Katy Freeway at Post Oak. It looks like they actually got it towed out of the way. Nobody was inside that vehicle when it went up that high, from what we understand. No one was inside when it got really bad. I want to check one other camera. We did have a shot of Braze Bayou earlier from this camera. Not seeing it, but that's okay. 288. This is at McGregor. You can see high water. Some drivers continuing to try and navigate portions of 288. A heavily congested area with a lot of construction, not a lot of drainage. We're going to continue to have areas there. All main lanes still blocked in both directions at Southmore. You can see the police lights. This is the northbound side of 288. Earlier, just after 9 a.m., they ended up having to shut down the northbound side of 288 leaving downtown. And now it looks like there's just a little trickle, just as soon as we took this, a little trickle of traffic now getting back through, heading southbound. So some improvement there on 288, the South Freeway at Southmore, for these poor people that have been sitting here for over 2 hours now. This being the Museum District. over here being 3rd Ward, and you can see it looks like, at least on the southbound side, I'm not saying hit the roads, it's getting better, everything's looking good, give it a couple hours, but we are starting to see some improvement with some of these more high-profile vehicles that have made it through. Again, all northbound lanes, though, of 288 still blocked right now. I wanted to show you a couple other spots. The Southwest Freeway we've been talking about all morning. You know, there was part of a wall that collapsed there, and water was just gushing onto the Southwest Freeway near the spur. It looks like closer to the spur it's moving nicely. We still have some high water on the frontage road. Let's see how bad it is as this car goes by. This is heading northbound, and it looks like on the northbound frontage road of the Southwest Freeway, conditions are starting to improve. Guys?
All right,
thank you so
Doug.
much, Doug.
Let's head back to Joseph Lopez, one of our KHOU producers. He's in the Galleria area. Joseph, what are you seeing out there?
Hi, good afternoon, guys. I am on KHOU Road, which is right off Richmond and Post Oak, and right now it's about 7 to 8 inches of water. You know, we have about 3 major apartment complexes. The road is completely impassable. Doug just talked about the West Park tollway camera at Post Oak. I don't know if you're able to take that, but these apartment complexes are right behind that underpass, and usually what happens in major flooding instances like these is all of that water just kind of rushes onto that underpass, and then the surface streets here along Richmond and Post Oak go unaffected. But that is certainly not the case today. Definitely, you know, these lanes not passable. I sent some pictures earlier. We had a couple cars parked along the side that are just now stalled out.
All right, thank you so much, Joseph Lopez, our KHOU producer for us in the Galleria area. And Ron, that's one of the areas they've been talking about all morning. The Houston Fire Department says they've had a lot of calls from the Galleria area, concerns from people about the high water there.
Yeah, all right. Well, we were trying to get... Okay, now we're just hearing from our producer that at any moment now at City Hall we're expecting to get more information about the big celebration along the banks of the bayou, the Freedom Over Texas celebration. We understand that the fireworks will be going on tonight, but the live music has been canceled. We're going to try to get some more specifics on when the doors are going to open, if that's changed, and what they're doing to try to save some of the equipment out there. Obviously, a lot of electronic equipment and 18-wheelers out there. And as soon as we get more information on that, and as soon as this news conference happens, we will take it live for you.
And that's everybody's big question. You know, will the party still go on? And the fireworks will, but I can understand, you know, there's a lot of rain out there right now and a lot of drivers still trying to maneuver around, and it's difficult. You know, there's a lot of setup that goes into those concerts. People start heading down there not just for the fireworks, but earlier for all the entertainment. So the City of Houston certainly cautiously watching.
Well, thanks for coming over to
watching the situation. Let's listen.
Susan Christian now with the city.
Let me say Happy Independence Day. You know, unfortunately, the weather situation did not go as predicted, and we've taken on a lot of rain on the site, so much so that it's compromised our site. And while we were prepared to do one heck of a show, unfortunately, we will cancel all but the fireworks. So the fireworks will go off as scheduled at 9:35. So tune into television to watch that show. Patrons will not be allowed on the site, you know, for the safety of our volunteers, of our work crews, and certainly of our patrons who attend this event every year. We're closing the event site, except for our media, who can come on and film as they typically do. But we're very disappointed, of course. But of course, while we can plan great events, we can't control the weather. So we've had to cancel everything again, except for the fireworks, which will go off as scheduled. The good news is that they are high and dry, and so that will begin at 9:35 p.m. this evening. I also want to let everyone know who has purchased tickets already that we will refund those tickets. Give us a little bit of time. We've got to talk with our ticket company, but we will refund the face value of those tickets. So give us a couple of weeks to get that refund worked out, but expect that. And the only other thing that I would like to say is, you know, rain can dampen, and we can't control the weather. Rain can dampen our site, but it doesn't dampen our spirit. And so in the true essence of our forefathers. We'll have a great fireworks show in celebration of America's birthday. And so, unfortunately, we are where we are, but we are also very confident that this was the decision that needed to be made for everyone on site now, that's holding on site, and that's beginning to break down some of those staging areas. I also want to thank our sponsors. You know, we can plan a great event, but the people who are paying for the event, Citgo, Bud Light, Walmart, Dr. Pepper, Southwest Airlines, those are our anchor sponsors, and so many more who make this event, who fund this event, so that we can have a great celebration. So to them, I just want to say one last time, and actually it won't be one last time, it'll be multiple times today, thank you, because without them, we couldn't do this great event. Unfortunately, 31 years now, this event has been going on, and we've had a lot of rain, right? You guys have been with us, reporting on the site when we've taken on a lot of rain. And this is, unfortunately, the only time we've had to cancel at least most of the show. Good news is that our spirits will start flying with those fireworks. And I would just want to have also tell everyone that be safe while you're at home, and don't let anything dampen your spirit for America's birthday. It was a tough one. Yes, sir. We were wringing our hands and watching, all of the forecasts, working with our emergency operations, our Homeland Security, fire department, police department. We don't take these decisions lightly. You know this. We are troopers. The show goes on. The show will always go on in our hearts, and we've always been able to pull it off. Unfortunately, the weather just did not cooperate, and so it's gut-wrenching because there's been such a great effort going into this show, and it's one of our signature events. You know, it's been around for a long time, for a couple of generations now, and so it's very hard, but I know we made the right decision, and at the end of the day, that's what we must always do, is get the right people around the table and make the right decision, and I'm confident that this was one. So I'm not deterred at all from where we are. It is what it is. This is not something that's normal for us, but it was hard. It was hard. No, we're not going to open the site up to the public. You know, everyone's very familiar with our bio out there, and that water's rising. Y'all have captured a lot of that on your news stations. And so right now we have just begun to pull things out of that bowl, and everything we've been operating from a very safe mode and a very right mode, and we've made the right decision. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Of course, we have HPD. Of course, they sit with us around the table as we're planning this event every step of the way. And so we've been working with them this morning as well so that we will continue to have a secure site. And so we'd just ask everyone to, stay home, be safe, watch it on TV, and celebrate at home with your family. They will. We will not open. We will not open Allen Parkway or Sabine. We will keep a locked site. Besides that, in anticipation of the rain, we were well in advance. We had everything set up, so it's going to take us a while to take it down too, right? So the roads will remain closed. Same thing, yeah, water rising, a saturated site, a lot of water fell, upstream from us. It's all over Houston. I know you know that. But, we have these beautiful parks. We also want to maintain those parks. And so really from a site standpoint, when we pull out, we'll pull out very carefully. We'll take a little longer than what we had anticipated, because we don't want to mess up those grounds. We want Eleanor Tinsley Park on Buffalo Bayou and Sam Houston Park to remain intact, and I think by making this decision, that also, you know, comes into play. We'll be able to better protect those parks. Anything else? Hey, listen, keep telling all of our patrons about it, because we want, you know, we want to make sure that everybody's safe. Thank you so much for coming. I'm sorry? Oh, Susan Christian.
That was Susan Christian. You could tell the disappointment on her voice. She's with the Mayor's Office of Special Events. She's headed up that office for decades now, telling everybody once again what we told you a few minutes ago. The party will go on as far as fireworks tonight in Eleanor Tinsley Park, but no one will be allowed out there for the obvious reasons there along the banks of the bayou. Refunds will be issued, give them some time, but the fireworks will go on. They're urging everybody to watch it from your house on TV, and again, reiterating that don't let it dampen your spirits. It is the 4th of July, but you have to do the prudent thing, and that's what the city's doing right now.
Absolutely. They have to be careful. Yeah. It's a big announcement. They said it was a tough decision for the city of Houston. All
right, so that's the announcement there. No one is allowed on the site tonight. You'll be getting your money back. The fireworks will go on, but that's it. No musical acts. Watch it from your home on TV is the message from the city right now.
All right, that's the latest from the City of Houston's press conference. Let's check back in with Brooks Garner. He's still watching the weather for us.
Well, guys, the bayous are doing their jobs, and the inconvenient truth about this is that the Buffalo Bayou is the major floodway for the City of Houston, and it floods, and it's doing that now. This is the walkway. You can see the little footbridge here as all the water floods into the bayou, and that's where the concert was located. So you can see by these live pictures from our exclusive WeatherBug Cam network exactly why they had to make that difficult decision. We've had this rain in the forecast for the majority of the last 5 days. The timing has worked out as far as the forecast of it being heaviest in the morning and clearing this afternoon. We still believe that to be the case. This is an area of low pressure that's moving west at 20 miles per hour, and at that speed, we're going to start to see this flooding rain move out of here within the next hour, followed by some scattered to at times numerous showers, maybe occasional downpours, and then all of it moving out by 5 or 6 o'clock. So we'll, without a doubt, get the fireworks in under a dry atmosphere. But right now, we're continuing to see flash flood warnings for downtown Houston and for the northwest side until 2:30. So heads up, we've still got closures on I-10 on both sides at 610, both inbound and outbound traffic right here. That notorious underpass. Another inconvenient truth about Houston is, yes, it floods, and underpasses are never a good idea. That's where we've seen all of the acute flooding today. By acute, I mean the kind that can swallow a car. West Park Tollway and I-10. I-10 at Post Oak, all those underpasses, all those typical spots. 288 on the southbound side is another good example where all the construction is, where you don't have good drainage, and that also designed to be a drainway. 288 and 69 in town, literally designed to be a severe drainway. So here we are, the bowling ball of moisture moving west, the slug of moisture, the back side of it now approaching the Beltway on the east side. Once that moves through, we're going to clear out of this rain. The flooding rain for downtown Houston is essentially over. What we're seeing with these yellows and oranges is the type of rain that just keeps things soaking wet out there and results in a slowdown of receding floodwaters. So we're not going to see the floodwaters going up anymore. We're going to see them start to fall, but if anything, where it's raining heavy, it's still kind of plateau before it starts receding. So again, the bayou's doing their jobs. We've had a couple of unconfirmed reports of a couple of structures up by Washington Street in the Heights as taking on a little bit of water, but nothing's gone out of the bayous. This has just been from the heavy rainfall rates overwhelming the local drainage systems. Otherwise, it's been a street flooding issue. And on the east side of this, pretty much cuts off of Baytown, all moving away. This is just kind of a murky day outside. 4th of July, not convenient, of course. We've got our backyard barbecues. But the good news with all this, the really good news, is that it's the 4th of July and we don't have the commuters on the roads. This happened during the heart of the morning rush. And if we saw this on any other day, like yesterday or tomorrow, it would have been a completely different story. It would have been absolute Carmageddon. People would have been stuck for hours and hours, and we would have seen countless more cars, no doubt, flooded out. When you see high water, you've got to turn around. And the phrase goes, turn around, don't drown. If you're not doing it for yourself, do it for your car, because your car will drown. As soon as that air intake, especially on a car versus an SUV, the air intake is under the engine in many cases, and that'll suck the water right up if you're in 4 or 5 inches of water, and hydro-locked, you're toast. Your car is stalled, and you probably have to get a new one after that. It becomes an insurance claim. So we're going to see scattered showers continuing on the east side, but it looks like once we get into the afternoon, this kind of stuff all moves away. But we haven't forgotten about you here in Bay City and also Angleton, Lake Jackson, Clute, Surfside Beach, Bryan Beach, Quintana. Still some heavy rain there. Not flooding. It's rural, so there's a lot more room for the heavy rain to run off. There's not the same impervious surfaces you'd see in a downtown area. But yeah, still just really pouring. Heaviest rain right now looks to be 290 heading out toward the Hockley area. Also Katy moving down the Grand Parkway toward Cinco Ranch. Now, Doug Deloney has been tracking the roads because, I mean, well, it's one thing to see this just impressive system on radar and to see the satellite signature and to be thankful that this is not over water because, by the way, we'd be dealing with a whole nother animal. Boy, those roads have been a real mess.
Absolutely, and so there's still some heavy rain off to the west, like you were saying, in northwest side 290 and I-10 far west, where it's slowing down just because of the heavy rainfall. Closer to town is where we mainly have issues with water on the roadways. Now, we just got an update from a reporter down at Spur 5 and I-45 down near University of Houston. The water there has receded along Spur 5 near I-45, so that's the good news. Now, looking elsewhere, we still have major issues on the Katy Freeway in both directions, just west of downtown. We also have major issues on 288 in both directions, just south of downtown. Don't take these roads right now. In fact, if you can wait, just give it a couple more hours, wait for this water to recede a little bit more. The West Park toll road heading eastbound toward the Galleria, where you split off and take that ramp to Post Oak, you can't take it. It's completely submerged right now. Let's just go ahead and jump to some of these cameras. Unfortunately, earlier, we saw some of the cars moving again on 288, the South Freeway. As it turns out, they were not reopening the freeway. They were simply just letting those cars that were stuck pass on through. But we still have high water, both northbound and southbound. And you can look closely here. This is actually all lanes of the freeway covered in high water. It doesn't look like it's extremely high. Certainly nothing nearly what it looked like during Harvey. But we have construction in this area, and when you have construction going on, as we're seeing as well with the 610-59 interchange, you have drainage issues. So the water just has nowhere to go right now. A lot of times these roads that dip down, they have pumps that usually will activate and will help alleviate some of this. But again, those, if they do have pumps here, they're not running right now at this time. This is South Freeway at McGregor. Again, 288 just blocked in both directions, so just avoid this if you can. Some vehicles, I think, are still trapped in this area because, see, police have done a good job. This is the northbound side of the freeway. It was shut down earlier this morning, 9 a.m. it was shut down, and you can see police forcing people off at Southmore. Heading southbound, these are where those cars we saw were stuck earlier. A lot of them were able to get up onto the frontage road in some of these areas that are not flooded. So this is the Museum District, 3rd Ward on the other side of this Houston TransStar camera shot. But like we've said, I'm going to say it again and again, if you don't have to go anywhere, don't go anytime soon. You just got to be patient with this. Yes, I-10 East on the east side looks pretty good. Except for a couple of frontage road and exit ramp issues. But again, the Katy Freeway, I-10 on the other side of downtown, it's a complete mess. This is a look near Washington, and you can see some vehicles actually turning around. They're tired of waiting. They're not going to wait anymore, and they are turning around and heading back up that entrance ramp, treating that entrance ramp as an exit ramp, and that's due to all that high water. This side of the freeway, I believe, is actually the eastbound side, or actually the westbound side. Downtown skyline in the background there, you can barely see it now. This is the inbound side of the freeway. It doesn't matter though, both sides blocked, so the Katy Freeway is still an issue inside the 610 loop. Now, once you get outside the 610 loop, at this time, we don't have any major reports of issues on I-10. Now, looking at I-45 North, we still have some high water, but it's a little bit more passable. In fact, if you remember earlier, we were showing this about 45 minutes ago. You can only get by on one lane. Houston TransStar here is showing us the northbound lanes of I-45 North still impassable on the right side. I don't know why some of these people are waiting to the very last second. It looks like this guy just wants to test his pickup truck and put it to the limits. But again, this is the northbound side of I-45. Don't forget, we have a complete list of all the high water spots on KHOU.com and our mobile app. 19 high water spots reported on major roadways right now. Guys?
All right, thank you so much, Doug Deloney.
We want to remind you now about that important announcement from the city of Houston. The fireworks tonight will go on, but all the concerts for Freedom Over Texas have been canceled. The city is saying they will refund tickets, but asking the public to watch the fireworks from home.
And more of this storm coverage right after this.
It's
AutoNation 72-hour flash sale. Right now, lease new Toyota RAV4s just $219 a month, or new Camrys $229 a month.
Hurry! These savings end in a flash.
Only at AutoNation Toyota.
It's the 4th of July sale at Mattress Firm, and we brought back our best offer. Right now, get a free adjustable base with your mattress purchase. Up to a $699 value, free. Plus, all of our beds are on sale. With mattresses starting at just $9 a month. Our lowest payments ever with 0% interest for 72 months. Pay as little as $9 a month and get a free adjustable base. Hurry in, last time we sold out. Your budget stretches further at Mattress Firm.
The Garcias signed up for security from Reliant and got their first month of security free. They're relaxed because they can check the cameras and see this. Or use the Reliant app to do this. All while saving on security because they're already Reliant electricity customers. So now, they can do more of this. Call us now and your first month of security is free. That's life. Switched on. Reliant.
Pass the blue plate for hammier ham, for salads that sing. To perk up a picnic, Blue Plate's the mayonnaise to bring. Pass the blue plate. Down the table, down the street, down the family tree. It's made like homemade from a simple recipe. Pass the rich, creamy mayo that makes good food. Tastes great. Do flavor a favor and pass the blue plate.
Get ready for supercharged savings.
It's AutoNation's 72-hour flash sale. Right now, buy new Ford F-150 Super Cruise starting at just $29,999. Charge in to AutoNation Ford.
Welcome back, everybody. As we take a live look at the radar, we continue under a flash flood warning, but we understand that the worst of the rain is over. That's some good news, but the bad news is the rain is still here.
Definitely good news. Not the 4th of July everybody was hoping for, but hopefully the fireworks still on tonight at Freedom Over Texas. Concerts canceled, but nice to see those fireworks will continue.
The fireworks are on, but nobody's going to be allowed there on the banks of the bayou. We know how dangerous that bayou can be.
Absolutely.
And they're not going to allow anybody on the site there at Eleanor Tinsley Park. You will get your money back. Just wait.
All right, let's check in now with David Gonzalez. He's in our storm tracker on Allen Parkway. David, what's it like out there?
Hey guys, it's been an absolute traffic nightmare just getting around the city in the storm tracker and then in our individual cars. I finally was able to meet up with our photographer Greg Hamilton after trying to find him for an hour because everywhere you look there were flooded roads, and we're following that advice of never drive into a flooded road. So we finally were able to meet up with each other and have stopped here at Allen Parkway and Taft. Take a look at the road right now. This is the road, what it looks like right now. The road was already closed off because of the Freedom Over Texas festivities, but as you can see, the manhole covers have pretty much are bubbling over with water right now as water is trying to just go places. We're right next to the bayou, and the bayou is obviously flooded with water, but this is just one example of the roads in and around the Houston area, just how bad they are. There are police officers everywhere redirecting traffic as well, so a big shout out to them because they are the ones that are standing out in this water, making sure that people avoid roads just like this one that are heavily flooded in this area. We have not seen the Buffalo Bayou in this particular area overflow into the actual roadway, but as you can see, just standing water everywhere, and here water is just trying to go places, so the manhole covers are spewing water out of this area. But like I said, anywhere you go in the Washington Heights areas are problematic areas from what we've experienced driving around, because roads, neighborhood roads, main highways, and I-10, for example, just completely at a standstill because of roadways that are flooded, people that are deciding to go through and stalling out, which is causing traffic problems as well. And on top of that, people that are just going the wrong direction trying to get out of flooded roadways because of what is expected to be problem areas like this. But as you can see, water just here on Allen Parkway and Taft, just outside of downtown area, completely flooded at the moment, as water just hopefully recedes here shortly from the area. But if you are going to be on the roadway, as we've been repeating over and over, just make sure that you avoid it. If you do encounter some flooded roadways, just make sure to turn around as best possible, and of course listen to HPD who are out there navigating the roads, or at least redirecting traffic to get you in and around this area. Rika?
All right, thanks so much, David. Easy to see why they don't want people on Allen Parkway tonight for Freedom Over Texas. They're asking people to stay home because of what David showed us.
Yeah, and the water coming out of the manholes right there was the water coming down from the Montrose area. We're quite familiar with the flooding issues there along Allen Parkway. Thank you so much, David. Let's go to Adam Bennett now. He's live in Southeast Houston. He's been out there all morning. He's seen some water rescues as well. Hey, Adam.
We sure have. Hey, Ron. So I actually have some good news. This is Elgin and Spur 5 right by the University of Houston campus. We have seen this intersection look like a lake all morning long. But at this point, the water has gone down, and it has gone down quickly. This intersection is now passable. We've seen everything from buses to pickup trucks all the way down to small cars just a few inches off the ground. They have been able to make it through this intersection with no problems whatsoever. So definitely some good news there. Less than 2 hours ago, it was a much different situation. This intersection was underwater, and at least 2 cars we saw were flooded. They got about halfway into that water, including a red car. We actually were here as the 2 people inside made their way out. They escaped through the front window. Thankfully, a police car rolled up right about that same time. Officers came over, they trudged through the water and helped those 2 people get out to safety, And then right as that happened, a couple other people who had pulled over motioned for them to head a bit farther down the frontage road to help some other cars that were stranded, some other people in need. The good news at this point, we have not heard of anybody getting hurt around here. And again, the water has gone down. Traffic is also flowing pretty smoothly. This red car over here, it was blocking the frontage road along Spur 5 heading onto the freeway, but a Metro officer actually came by and we helped him push that out of the way. So now it's just waiting for a tow truck at this point. So things are pretty much back to normal around here. Just need to get this car out of the way. And obviously the owners of those vehicles need to go retrieve them. But thankfully things starting to calm down a little bit after what was a pretty scary couple of hours here near the University of Houston. We'll send it back to you.
Dramatic difference indeed. Thank you so much.
It's incredible to see Adams, just the change in his shot from a few hours ago. I remember seeing that car almost underwater out there. And that's really right outside our station.
And you know, we have to, you know, add to that the fact that there are many areas that are still with a lot of water, and it's still best to stay home if possible.
Yeah, we talked to the Houston Fire Department this morning. They were telling us that the 2 biggest areas that they've had calls for service from were the Galleria and the Heights area, but you came from the Heights a little later in the morning and said it was improving.
Yeah, I was in the northern part of the Heights. Let's go to Jason Miles now. He's along Shepherd near the Southwest Freeway. Are conditions getting any better there, Jason?
Well, along the freeway, Ron, they seem to be improving a little bit. This is Shepherd and Lexington, about a block off the feeder road off the Southwest Freeway outbound lanes. We were there most of the morning, and when we left, about 3 lanes were pretty passable. When we first arrived earlier, as you might recall, only 1 lane passable on the actual freeway. Now, this is kind of a side street off the feeder, and we've seen a couple of cars that were abandoned in this stretch. One woman got out of her car. She was in about waist-deep water, finally got to the edge, and someone helped her out. You see these other cars, some of the higher-profile vehicles like that wrecker, making it through pretty much without a problem. But I can tell you, people that have flooded and people who live along these areas, they really appreciate it if you don't go quickly or rapidly or fast through this water, because there's kind of a wake that is created. And for people who may have had their cars stalled out, it only makes matters worse when the big wake comes through, and some people don't seem to take that into consideration, so a little advice to pass along. But people are glad to see the water level at least go down a little bit, and as I mentioned, since we've been out here, certainly along the freeway itself, we saw the water go down, even though in areas storm drains continued to spew up water, adding to the water that had already collected. But it seems as if things may be slowly catching up, and hopefully in this neighborhood, as in others, the water will go down, continue to go down over the next couple of hours and improve conditions. We'll continue to keep an eye on things, of course. We'll send it back to you now.
And you can understand why the homeowners are so concerned as that water gets so close to their front door.
Absolutely. All right, our chief meteorologist David Paul joining us now in the studio with an update on the weather.
Happy 4th of July, everybody. Now look, so we're seeing all the street flooding out here. The drainage system in general in the Houston area was built to handle if conditions are not overly wet. 2 inches of rain per hour. In general, it can handle that. And what happened today was we had rainfall rates of 4, 5, 6 inches per hour at times, and that's what has overwhelmed the primary drainage system. Those are the gutters and the ditches on the side of the road in your neighborhood. And so what's happening now is because there's just been too much rain that fell too fast, it overwhelmed what our drainage system is designed for. It's taking time for that rain that fell in your neighborhood, like we just saw there off of Shepherd near the Montrose area, to get into the ditch, and then it's trying to get downstream, down through the through the pipes they put in the ground and get into Buffalo Bayou. It's one of the reasons why Buffalo Bayou is still rising and will continue to rise a little bit more until all that rain in the Montrose can get down into Buffalo Bayou or into White Oak Bayou. Now, real quickly, White Oak Bayou is nearing bank full. Now, this does not mean it's going to go into homes. This is White Oak Bayou right near I-10. That may put some more high water spots on I-10 as you're nearing downtown, especially in the westbound lanes. That's classic for Houston on a heavy rain day like this. But that would be more street flooding. At the moment, not home flooding, where the bayous have stayed low enough across the area, so we're not seeing flooding from bayous. That's very, very good. We've been tracking the bayous. In fact, a little bit ago, I tweeted out several bayou updates. If you follow me or go to KHOU Weather Twitter account there, you'll see that bayou update for several bayous. They're cresting or falling, most of them. But again, White Oak, right at I-10, still coming up. That may put high water on those westbound lanes of I-10 near downtown. Stay off the roads if you can. Good thing it's a holiday. You can stay home and don't feel like you have to go out and see friends and family with fireworks this evening. It's much safer because there's so many high water spots out there right now. And we had a live shot. If you guys get that live shot back up there, Allen Parkway, right there at Stanford, I'd love to take a look at that. Manhole covers have been blown off all over the place. Yeah, now here we are. Take a look at this. If you want to put this in the key, I'll step out. But you see where that water is just boiling up out of the ground? Well, that's coming out of the pipe. The manhole cover has been blown off, and that's the water coming out of Montrose trying to get to Buffalo Bayou. So manhole covers all over the place have been blown off. This is extremely dangerous for driving because there literally are these huge holes in the roadway. So that's why we're urging you to stay off. And so this water is still trying to get to Buffalo Bayou. So Buffalo Bayou is going to stay well within its banks, but it's in major flood if you're trying to have a party down there today. So that's why they've canceled all the concerts at Eleanor Tinsley. Don't go down there. The floodway at Buffalo Bayou is doing its job. It's filling up. And
Federal Reserve Bank, look at the water up in Allen Parkway.
Okay, so that's, yeah. So the Buffalo Bayou is quite a bit up near the Federal Reserve building there, just down the street there from what used to be the Channel 11 studios. But everything's doing its job. The water has stayed out of homes unless a car drove by and pushed some of the water up into structures. All right, let me show you some rain totals. Weather 1, these are radar estimated. I can tell you this, there have been a lot of spots in Harris County that have had 7 inches of rain just today. 4 inches there in downtown, 4.5 inches. Out toward Jersey Village, almost 4 inches of rain there. That's out toward Copperfield, Jersey Village area. 3.8 in Spring. This is just over the past 12 hours. So this all came down today. Just does not count what fell last night. Baytown, 2.5 inches of rain. Chambers County down to Galveston, 3.7 inches of rain. 3.5 inches of rain heading down toward Pearland, Friendswood. So these are high rain totals and over such a large area that the volume of water that has fallen is just going to take many, many hours to drain out. Now, some of the spots are beginning to drain, but it's going to take hours. It will take until after sunset for most of these high water spots to drain down. That's why we're urging folks just to stay off the road. I think the best news is that the rain overall is weakening. And so you can see the whole system pushing off to the west. It's weakening. And as we thought might happen, this is going to get out of here. And except for maybe a few lingering showers this evening, rain will come to an end over the next several hours and things will improve, but the roads will stay a mess and you're urged to stay off of them. So the bottom line, the worst is over with the rain, but the roads are still very much a mess and very dangerous. Guys, back to you.
Well, good news, like you said, at least the worst is over, David. All right, thank you so much.
All right, taking a live look now at West Park Tollway. This is eastbound. As we've been telling you all morning, these lanes are underwater. A dangerous situation out there. West Park Tollway eastbound.
Oh, say can you see the savings during July 4th celebration week at Conn's Home Plus. Week-long deals in every department, like free matching furniture pieces when you buy the set, plus a free iPad with your qualifying mattress purchase. And yes, money financing gives you low monthly payments. Just go to cons.com to apply and get approved. Then come have a blast at Conn's Home Plus.
You want a better life and our best price. You deserve it at Conn's.
Who knew that the best place to buy wine was H-E-B? Texans knew. That's why H-E-B has been and continues to be the #1 wine retailer in Texas. We search across the country and all over the globe to find world-class wines at great prices and bring them back to Texas. And now, through September 3rd, you can download the Favor app, order wine and beer from H-E-B, and Favor will give you free delivery in under an hour.
Why do bees have sticky hair? They use honeycombs.
Celebrate summer with Mom's Anna Faris. Plus, new music from John Legend. Next hour.
Today at 3 on KHOU 11.
Need something verified? Email verify@khou.com.
Welcome back, everybody, as we continue our live flooding coverage and taking a live look at all that water on Allen Parkway, which we're quite familiar with here at KHOU. Water coming out of the manhole. That's happening in many parts of town. Very dangerous. Avoid those areas, especially if you drive into something like that. There are a lot of manholes that aren't obvious that the manhole covers come off. So we're urging everybody to stay home if you can. Stay off a lot of these roads that have been blocked. This water right here that's coming out of the manhole is coming from the Montrose area, as David Paul said, making its way slowly into Buffalo Bayou, which has already had so much water that they've had to call off the musical acts for tonight and the 4th of July party there on Eleanor Tinsley Park. Do not go out there. If you bought tickets, you'll get your money back. But the fireworks show is still on, but just do not go to the site to watch those fireworks.
Yeah, and this is exactly why, because we're seeing high water at places like Allen Parkway. The city wants people to stay home, stay safe, and be extremely careful as we all celebrate the 4th of July. Let's check in now with Doug Deloney. He's checking our roads across town. Doug, are things improving?
You know, I think this rain let up just in time, because if we had even an hour or two more of this, it would have been a really, really bad deal. As it stands, the list of high water spots on Houston roads has stopped growing. So that's the good news. We have 19 spots. If you want to see the full list, all the ramps, the frontage roads, the exit ramps, the entrance ramps, we have that on KHOU.com. I want to talk about the major ones right now. A quick rundown. I-10 to Katy Freeway, still blocked, both directions, just west of downtown. 288, still blocked, both directions, just south of downtown. 610 South Loop frontage road at 288 is looking a little bit better. Eastbound, it has reopened. Westbound, we still have some closures. The 610 West Loop frontage road, there's a lot of construction there, just like 288, so there's some drainage issues there. And the frontage road of the 610 West Loop in both directions of West Park is having some issues still. In addition, that dramatic Houston TransStar camera shot we were showing you earlier also has some issues. Now, 225 LaPorte at Ritchie is shut down, and this is if you are heading inbound. So if you're leaving the Deer Park area, you're heading inbound on 225, they're forcing you to the frontage road. The frontage road is a little bit higher, so it's not causing an issue for you slowing down, because traffic is just kind of light around town as far as some of these outlying roads. If I'm not mentioning your freeway, that's good news for you. For instance, East Tex Freeway near Kingwood, New Caney. If I'm not mentioning you, that's good news. It's because you don't have high water like this. This is the West Park Toll Road, one of the most dramatic shots we've seen. Now, this is a very deep road. It goes way down, 2 stories down, and it goes back up. So this is at least 20 feet of water right here, at least, is my best guess. And this is the West Park Tollway eastbound at Post Oak. It connects you to the Galleria. You can see the Galleria area in the background there. And unfortunately, people, when this is flooded in the past, people have driven in here, and we've had some fatalities at this location. Thankfully, as we were watching it rise earlier, we didn't see any vehicles in here. They got it shut down in time. But again, it's going to take a while for them to pump all this water out. There are some pumps in there they can use to get that out of there. Now, this is the other shutdown, probably one of the biggest, and it's the Katy Freeway in both directions. The good news is some of those drivers who were stuck in the eastbound lanes, they've since been able to get out of the way, and they've been able to turn around. They went up this entrance ramp and went the wrong way to get back out of it, but the Katy Freeway is still blocked in both directions. The main lanes there and the frontage road is still underwater. This camera shot says the West Loop. It's more like at Washington is where it's blocked, so do not take the Katy Freeway. You could take I-45 north to the 610 loop or even the Beltway if you really have to get on the road, but don't expect to take the Katy Freeway. Looking at this other Houston TransStar camera, this is where we saw a vehicle completely submerged. It is still there. They didn't get it towed out of the way. But the good news is the water earlier was up right to the line where you could barely see the roof. And now the water looks like it's being pumped out, or it's just gone down a little bit. And nobody's inside this vehicle, by the way. This is the Katy Freeway at Post Oak. We watched the water rise. When we first saw it, it was just over the tires. So whoever was in it had time to get out. We believe that the vehicle is empty. So that's the good news there. Going back to I-45 North, if you are heading northbound, you are going to run into this. So if you're leaving downtown, maybe you're coming from the south side of town, you want to take I-45, you won't run into any issues on the main lanes of I-45 until you get here. And this is at North Main, and you can see some vehicles, including this fire truck, going to the left to try and get around this. And it looks like a fire truck there. But vehicles going down to 2 or 3 lanes before they can get around it and then move on. So just be aware of that. It's slowing you down just a little bit. The right lane's blocked by that high water, including it looks like the frontage road. They just have some police lights to give the police lights plenty of space. Make sure you pay attention. The southbound side of I-45, so if you are coming into town on I-45 North, you're going to be completely fine. No issues on the main lanes there. Let's look at the 610 South Loop at 288. This just shows you some of the construction along this South Loop. If we can get this TransStar camera loaded up. And these construction spots are among those areas where we have issues because there's no drainage. And again, 288 is just a complete mess with the construction right now. But you can see some cars, even if they're able to make it through on the frontage road of the 610, they end up stalling out. This guy getting towed out of the way. Both directions still technically open, but I wouldn't recommend it. You can see it's a muddy mess just off the road. And even right down here in the lower left-hand corner of your screen, you can see some cars still having to go through at least, it looks like 6 inches, maybe a foot deep water. And for some cars, that's just enough to flood you out. And unfortunately, it looks like that's what's happened to that guy there. Looking back to the Southwest Freeway, this is an area where we had some of our own employees that were stuck. Conditions improving on the Southwest Freeway. The main lanes are pretty good. We saw some water on the southbound lanes at the spur due to a wall that gave way and kind of partially blocked it. But you can see this is over here near Lakewood Church in the background at Wesleyan, and you can see both directions of the Southwest Freeway. The main lanes are looking good. We had a little bit of high water on the frontage road, but from best I can tell, looking around at the cameras in this area, the only vehicles that remain behind are ones that were stalled out and had to be towed away, because it looks like now, for instance, these frontage roads over here and on the other side, there were really some issues. It was basically impassable earlier, and now the Southwest Freeway is completely open again at Buffalo Speedway. So some relief for you there, although I understand the surface roads, some of those neighborhoods, looking at Montrose, we've heard Richmond, Shepherd, those areas, they've been problematic before, and yes, they are underwater again. The water should start to quickly recede, so we're hoping to see a little bit of relief with those. But just taking a look around town again, this one has to be the worst one, and that is the 610 West Loop northbound at the frontage road. It's partially blocked. This is a look at the tollway there. So it's still underwater. Again, like I said, you can look at the full list of the most recent closures, the lanes impacted. You can check out your commute. We have the full list on KHOU.com. You can also download our mobile app. We're keeping it up to date thanks to Houston TransStar, guys.
All right, Doug, important information. Thanks so much.
Yeah, and let's go to one of our longtime photojournalists here at KHOU, Keith Tomshe. He's live at McGregor and 288 in Southeast Houston to give us an update on conditions there. Hey, Keith.
Hey Ron, glad to tell you that for the most part things look pretty good out here. The Bayou, Brays Bayou, we're very close right now to the medical center, as David and y'all have been saying. It's doing what it's supposed to be doing right now, and the only bit of bad news I have out here is for a few of these folks. Got some folks that did get stuck in this earlier. This gentleman actually, I don't know where he got a toolbox from, but I saw him a few minutes ago walk the other direction, and now he has a toolbox. So, saw a few cars. Again, I'm at McGregor, and if you head towards town till about Southmore, that's when 288 opens up. To clarify, this section of 288 is closed right now, in large. I'm sure it's due to the construction that's been going on out here. So you can see HPD has the area closed down right now, so nobody else is going to get stranded. And for the most part, you know, traffic's not bad on the feeders up here, so I think everybody's taking heed of, you know, if you don't need to be out here, there's, you know, you don't need to be out. So stay home, and hopefully this will be over soon.
Thank you, Keith. And stay on that video for a second, Keith, showing 288. Much of it closed today. But as the water recedes, the other issue is going to be, because there's so much construction out there, is all the debris that needs to be cleared. There's logs and you know, all sorts of mud out there too. So that's going to be, it might be closed down for quite a while. I'm not, you know, I don't want to speculate on that, but it's just a mess out there at 288.
Yeah, every time it rains, things kind of get moved around.
Especially all that, the construction equipment and the logs and all that mud. All right, thank you so much, Keith Tomsky at 288 and McGregor.
All right, let's check back in now with our Jason Miles. He's been on South Shepherd all morning for us. Jason, how's it looking?
Yeah, we're at Shepherd and the feeder right now, and I've caught up with some motorists who tried to make it through some high water and unfortunately did not make it. This is Treese Williams. Looks like you're collecting some of the water from your floorboard.
Yeah, so I was just trying to make it to work today. I work at Amy's Ice Cream right up here. I saw it was a little bit of flooding right up here. I kind of tried to get over it. I got to like right here and it was fine, and then out of nowhere water just started rising. It's kind of like a flash flood thing. Water started coming in. This gentleman right here, he actually helped me get my car. My son's car seat was in here. Water was just rushing in and he helped me get everything out. So it's starting up, so that's a good thing. We're just trying to get the water out so I can get on back home.
Ever encountered something like this before?
I never did. I never like being by myself. No, probably with family, but yeah, it was one of the scariest things that I had to go through. I stay all the way on the northeast side, so I go to work over here. So yeah, it was definitely one of the scariest things I have been.
What's your advice to other drivers?
My advice is, if you have to go to work far away and you know it's a flood area, just tell your boss that you can't make it. Like, nothing's more risk. Don't risk your life. Like, if you see flooding, turn around. Don't try to go through it at all, because no matter how big your car is, it will stop. It will stop in the water.
All right, Treese Williams, we appreciate you talking to us. Amy's Ice Cream just up the street.
Yes.
And it looks like they're open. We may have to stop by a little later. Hopefully you'll get your car in order. Over here is Jose Vasquez. He got flooded as well. I just spoke with him a few minutes ago. He was taking his wife to work, thought he could make it through the intersection of Shepherd and the feeder. You see the end result here. Water several inches deep on the floorboard of his car. He said when he got out of the car, the water was about 3 feet high, up to almost his waist. And Sergio, if you can pan over here to the actual intersection, I can tell you guys, within minutes, this water went down dramatically. I mean, right now, there's no water left in the intersection. And that's very good news, because if you've been watching my live shots, the water was pretty deep earlier. Now it seems to be going down. We encountered a neighbor here who lives on the corner. He was actually going along to the storm drains and poking them with a big broomstick, trying to clear some of the storm drains, doing his part to get this water out of here. Guys?
All right, thank you, Jason. Glad to see those people are safe, but a lot of people, as we've been hearing, have been trying to cross town this morning and proving to be more difficult than they thought.
Your heart has to go out to people who've got all sorts of car damage right now. We're going to take a break now and have more coverage. And David Paul, as we take a live look at the radar, has some new rain totals, so don't go away.
It's Ashley Home Store's Stars and Stripes event. Now through July 4th, save 25% store-wide. Or get 60 months no interest, no minimum, no money down. Plus doorbusters like this bed, now only $3.98 at all 14 Houston Ashley Home Stores.
Around here, my job is to keep everyone safe. Come on, Mom. So to avoid injury, we always stay at least 10 feet away from power lines when skimming the pool or trimming trees. And if there's ever a down power line, I keep my family and pets away and call CenterPoint Energy immediately.
Ready?
Let's go.
CenterPoint Energy is committed to providing you safe, reliable electric delivery. CenterPoint Energy, always there.
Celebrate your freedom to save at Ashley Home Store's Stars and Stripes event. Save 25% store-wide or get 60 months no interest. Plus doorbusters like this sofa and love seat, now only $7.99 at all 14 Houston Ashley Home Stores.
Anna Ferris and John Legend. Next, Ellen.
Rain totals over the past 12 hours have pushed many of our watersheds and bayous and our drainage system to the brink, but it hasn't gone over the brink. No flooding of homes from bayous, so the bayous have been doing their job. A couple of high spots I do want to mention: White Oak Bayou near downtown, nearing Bank Full. That may continue to rise a little bit. So expect high water on I-10, the westbound lanes near downtown, to continue there. Also Buffalo Bayou. I mean, the stage down there for what was going to be our Freedom Over Houston celebration, all that is just completely underwater. It's not just wet, it's underwater. That's in the floodway. The floodway is doing its job. That's what it's designed to do. And if you're going to have events down there, you got to understand sometimes we're going to have these heavy rains that are a little heavier and cause the flooding down there. But everything is doing its job so far. Rain totals: 8 inches at Houston TransStar. That is just a little bit west of downtown, right there at Washington, going over I-10. Energy Park, we know where that is. 7.5 inches of rain. Jersey Village, 5 inches. Bel Air, more than 5 inches. Baytown, not quite as much on the east side, almost 3 inches in Baytown, but enough to cause all this high water and street flooding. And don't forget, 288 sections of that are still shut down with high water. Sections of 288 are also designed to be a floodway, and they're basically doing what they're designed to do. Unfortunately, it makes travel a big problem when we have this type of stuff. At least it's not a busy commuter day, it's a holiday. This is our live camera, WeatherBug, St. Thomas High School. Good evening and good afternoon, St. Thomas kids. So this is the main channel of Buffalo Bayou, and then here's the tree line where you've got a walking trail. A little bit ago you could see one of the little walking bridges, at least the railing of it, and now I don't see it. So it's continued to rise. And so that's all, you know, this is up in the area where they've got dog parks and that type of thing down here. Well, Buffalo Bayou is doing its job. It's within its banks. But again, all these projects down here, you know, it's basically everything always on standby when you've got the major artery of drainage, Buffalo Bayou, running right through the downtown area. So it's doing its job, but it definitely has come up. This is radar estimated rain total. Again, not an actual gauge like I showed you a minute ago, but radar estimated. Gives us a more broad brush picture of the rain we've had the past 12 hours. Almost 4 inches in Spring, better than 4 inches in the immediate downtown area. 3.5 toward Friendswood, Pasadena, 2.5 Baytown, 3.7 inches off Smith Point, Jersey Village area. You get up toward Copperfield, 3.7 to 4 inches of rain. And so, you know, it wasn't just the rain totals, but look how much area took several inches of rain. And that's why it's taking so long for water in many of the neighborhoods, especially in the Montrose, to go down. But it will go down. Again, the primary drainage has been overwhelmed by these rainfall rates today. Big picture, there it is. And I got to tell you, the computer models really nailed this. We started forecasting this event on Saturday, several days ago, thinking we might have a real rain out on the 4th of July. And that indeed has come to pass. But also what looks like is going to happen is, as we forecast, is that it's going to move through and we're going to have this rain come to an end in time for the fireworks. Unfortunately, it has put down a little more rain than forecast, and that has caused the widespread street flooding that we've had today. And that just happens sometimes when these quasi-tropical systems come in. This is a mid-level low, but it's pulled in a lot of tropical moisture into it, and so that's why the rainfall rates have been so high, and they've overwhelmed the primary drainage today. Still a flash flood warning. Oh, this is a new flash flood warning. Okay, so Sealy, this is southern Austin County, Cat Spring, New Ulm out here as well, Sealy. There are a lot of roads, a lot of rural roads out here, southern Austin County, that dip down to cross little creeks and streams. You can expect that those stream crossings, southern Austin County, are going to have high water spots on them because those creeks out there are now getting too much rain. I know this area quite well, actually. And you will encounter a lot of high water spots out there, so be very, very careful. Also further out, you can see we have a little bit more scattered showers out to our north and west. But again, flash flood warning continues in effect till 2:30, northwest Harris County, a lot of high water spots, but the rain has let up. So we're not seeing any new flooding. It's just what we've got taking its time to drain on out. This should end over the next couple of hours, but the roadways will stay flooded for many, many, many hours, and there are a lot of debris and manhole covers that have been blown off. So even when the rain ends, the driving will remain hazardous through this evening, gang. Back over to you.
Yeah, stay off the roads if you can. Thank you so much, David.
All right, let's check in with our David Gonzalez. He's out at Allen Parkway for us, where he's actually been watching those manhole covers. David, what are you seeing?
Hey guys, yeah, I'm here at Allen Parkway and Taft, and we're just going to go straight outside so you guys can see what actually is this part of the roadway here on Allen Parkway. As you can see, manhole covers have been blown off, and they're kind of just spewing water everywhere. As we zoom out and kind of just pan over, you can just see just the amount of water that is rushing in this area, and it's been like this for several hours. As soon as it started raining, the water just heading in all directions, making its way toward the bayou out here. And this is just one of the problem areas all around the downtown area, the Heights, Washington. We're in our storm tracker, and it took us several hours just to get to this point because of HPD that had blocked roadways, also flooded roadways that we did not want to cross into, and just traffic problems as well, because traffic is definitely an issue as people try to make their way in and around the Houston area. But as you can see, this is Allen Parkway and Taft, where the road is blocked off right now. And as you can see, also, it's the manhole covers that have been blown off as water tries to just make its way into the bayou. As we look up, you can kind of see people that have gathered in this area, and the cones and the roadblocks that are in place right here are actually due because of the Freedom Over Texas festivities that were supposed to be in this area, but that obviously is not going to be taking place right now because of all the floodwaters that we had. Fireworks will continue, but vendors, as we zoom out a little bit, you can see making their way into this area, maybe trying to go home now that the festivities have been canceled. But when it comes to the actual roadways, please be careful, because there are a lot of problematic areas just like this one where manhole covers have been blown off, water trying to make its way into the bayous, and it's all around the downtown area. So make sure you are paying attention, one, and two, if you do see a HPD officer out there, make sure that you listen to their directions as well, because they are guiding us in and around this area safely. Ron and Reka?
David, we have a question for you. Can you see how high the bayou is from your vantage point out there?
Oh, Grace, yeah. Actually, the bayou, when we drove into this area, we had to take some back roads, and the water is pretty high. One thing that I have noticed, going back to our outside camera, is that new dog park that they just renovated, we're not too far from here, from the area, and it's actually completely underwater again. So that kind of gives you an idea as to how far the water has gone up. That dog park had just opened up a few weeks ago after Harvey. It had been renovated, and we drove by it, and it is completely underwater once again. So as you can tell, that the water is rushing through the bayou, and it has gone up to pretty high levels, but people are out here kind of just trying to take it all in since the Freedom Over Texas festivities have been canceled.
Thanks for that perspective, David. That dog park has been hit time and time again. Tough to see out there. Thanks so much.
That poor dog park and all the renovations that they've made along Allen Parkway there in the bayou. You hate to see it, but like every year, it seems like there's a flood. And we have to clarify, when we say the festivities are no longer taking place on Eleanor Tinsley Park tonight, that does not include the fireworks. The fireworks will go off tonight, but they're not going to take any visitors down there in the bayou. The roads will be closed. You'll get your money back if you bought tickets, but do not go out to the bayou tonight. You can watch the fireworks from your home or on TV.
Yeah, we can see why. Still a lot of high water out there.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back with more of our flood coverage as we take a live look at the radar. The worst of the rain is moving out, but we still have some rain and still plenty of flooding.
TXU Energy free nights and solar days. It's two great things.
The solar part's better.
Beg to differ. Free nights is better. Burn.
Okay, guys, settle down.
You can't burn the sun.
Free nights and solar days only from TXU Energy.
Says the big ball of gas. Chocolate hummus, guacamole, apples,
Bravo detergent,
and fresh prime one steaks.
HEB curbside and delivery service is great. Now we can grocery shop from anywhere.
And we can grocery shop while we're doing anything.
Yep, anything.
We're looking in your direction, Scott.
I can't feel my legs.
Order online and send straight to home with HEB delivery or pick up curbside.
This summer, it's not just an obstacle course. It's a battlefield.
Are you ready?
5 contestants. One runs, the others try to knock them out.
Kevin Hart hosts the most extreme competition television has ever seen.
Oh, headshot! Headshot!
How do you feel?
I look like I feel, Kim.
Total Knockout premieres next Wednesday.
Cool Bears got Anthony Scaramucci together with Michael Avenatti tonight.
Welcome back on KHOU 11 News as we continue to track rain and flooding across our area.
All right, let's go live to Marcelino Benito now. He's at Eleanor Tinsley Park where the music has been canceled. They're not taking any visitors today or this afternoon or tonight, but the fireworks will go on tonight. Let's check in with Marcelino. Let's look at the conditions and see how bad they are out there.
Well, guys, the visuals out here are stunning. We literally just walked up here, got through security, and you can see what they are dealing with here. That is Buffalo Bayou basically taking over Eleanor Tinsley Park. This is where thousands of people were going to gather in just a matter of hours to watch some concerts, enjoy the 4th of July. Well, you can see it is completely covered in floodwaters, and the waters may be still rising. I mean, we just got here. We'll be monitoring that. But I can tell you, I just left a press conference just up the road here at City Hall, and the event organizer for the city, Susan Christian, you could see it on her face. Very upset that she had to cancel this event for the first time in 31 years. The concerts, all the activities, all the vendors that were ready to sell food here, this would be packed. People would be starting to stream in on any other 4th of July. It's been going on again for 31 years without a hitch, but now it's empty. Vendors are starting to pack up and tear down what takes usually a week and a half to get this place, this park, ready to go. At the press conference, they told us they worked so hard just in case something like this would happen, but they took on a lot more rain than expected. Now the tear down that usually takes a while will take even longer. They're thinking several more days to tear all this down. And just to be clear, the fireworks will still go on at 9:30, but no one will be allowed here past the barricades. I asked that question at the press conference. They told me police will be monitoring out here in force to make sure no one comes out here to try to watch the fireworks here at this site. It's clearly just not safe, guys. Another look at the conditions out here. I mean, just look at it. The bayou is completely come over Eleanor Tinsley Park. It's going to take a while to tear down this stage and everything else that is here. One more note, they said it takes a long time to put this together. One of the main reasons that they opted to cancel as well, besides the visuals you're seeing, is they care about the condition of the park, and they feel if they had continued to allow this to go on, the park would have been damaged more than it already is by these floodwaters, so they wanted to pull the plug. Again, a very difficult decision for the city of Houston, but they feel it's the right one. They'd rather everyone be safe than sorry by letting people come out here to enjoy concerts later this afternoon. But the fireworks will go on as scheduled. That, I guess, is a sliver of good news. Guys, back to you.
Hey, Marcelino, as you said, they're going to have to be very careful how they tear everything down and move everything out because they don't want to do any damage to anything there in the park, the turf. Are you seeing what they're doing in terms of laying down boards or anything to move some of these vehicles and some of these tents?
Well, Ron, to be honest with you, right now we see nobody down where people would usually be for this concert. We don't see any workers out there. I don't really even see anyone back there at the main stage. So right now I think it's not even safe for crews to be down there in Eleanor Tinsley Park to start removing any of those tents, any of those chairs. Nothing like that is being touched on or worked on right now. The only work that we see happening right now is on street level here at Allen Parkway. We're talking about vendors, people trying to pick up tents that are on street level. But right now, I would tell you, I just don't think it's safe for folks to be out there in the park trying to clean up what they set up for concert goers later this afternoon.
Yeah, certainly not. Certainly not, Marcelino. But I guess now you have to worry about maybe some of those tents and some of the other equipment washing away and clogging up the bayou. That's another concern. All right, thank you so much, Marcelino Benito, live along Allen Parkway at the banks of the bayou.
All right, let's check in now with Doug Deloney. He's been watching our roads for us all morning. Doug, any improvement out there?
Telling us about how the heaviest of the rain pushed off to the west, out toward west of Sealy, Cat Springs. So the I-10 to Katy Freeway, a little bit slow. Looking at Houston TransStar, though, a few cameras that we have out there, you can see traffic still moving at posted speed. So that's the good news. Roads very wet at that location, but you can see along the sides, they still have plenty of room in case this rain continues to fall. Now, closer to town, yes, fewer roads being reported as high water, but I-10 to Katy Freeway at the West Loop still blocked in both directions. You can see right at Washington is trying to tow some of these cars out of the way that have been stuck in this high water, and then they got stalled. A lot of people made it out of the area simply by using the entrance ramps as exit ramps. So thankfully for them, they were able to get to higher ground. Other people need tow trucks. One of the most dramatic views is the West Park Toll Road. It's shut down eastbound as you approach Post Oak, heading northbound toward the Galleria. So just be aware of that. We still have, again, the other major shutdown this morning is 288 northbound and southbound. Live look from Houston's TransStar showing us you are still being forced off the road at Southmore in this construction zone where they don't have as good of drainage. This one will probably last the longest, maybe even beyond I-10 to Katy Freeway, so we'll just have to keep an eye on that. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Why do bees have sticky hair? They use honeycombs.
Celebrate summer with moms Anna Faris. Plus, new music from John Legend. Next hour.
Today at 3 on KHOU 11.
Don't be robbed by your energy bill. Get those old energy-wasting windows out. Do like thousands of folks have done here in the Gulf Coast, Houston, Galveston, all the way to Woodlands. Call about the American Classic Triple Pane Window. Look at the extra coatings of Low E. We're right here at 8901 Jamil Road off Highway 290. You're going to love these windows. Bay, bow, double hung, slider. If we don't have the color, we'll make it for you. You'll love the ease of operation, and it's easy to save. For a limited time, we'll put all new windows in your home, $99 down, $99 a month with your good credit. Call 1-888-342-4831. Eliminate painting chores on the wood portion of that brick house. Eliminate painting chores on the exterior of your home with the American Classic insulated wall system. 1-inch plus of contoured foam fused to the siding, guaranteed not to pull apart. You can have new siding on your home. We can do the overhang and trim. $149 down, $149 a month with your good credit. Call now. You get a $50 Walmart gift card from Precision with your estimate.
Need something verified? Email verify@khou.com.
Welcome back, everybody, as we take a live look from our camera there along the banks of the Buffalo Bayou and what was going to be the party along the bayou in Eleanor Tinsley Park. The party's been canceled, but the fireworks will be going on tonight, but they will not be taking any visitors out there, and you can see why. So much flooding. It's just not safe to have anybody out there, and they have to protect the park and everything else. But the fireworks will go on tonight at 9:30. In fact, we're expecting another news conference from the mayor at the Houston Emergency Center. That should be happening at any minute now. Of course, we will take that live to get the very latest of what the mayor has to say about all our flooding that we've had today.
Absolutely. In the meantime, our chief meteorologist David Paul is standing by with another look at the forecast. David.
The heavy rain overnight pushed the bayous to the brink, but they're all doing their job. They're filling up, they are draining, and so far no flooding of structures from the bayous. I heard reports that a couple of structures, Shepherd near the Montrose, may have had a little water as the streets filled up because the rain came down so fast it just overwhelmed the primary drainage. Those are the gutters in front of your house. They're made to handle about a 2-inch rainfall rate per hour maximum. We had higher rainfall rates than that, and so much of it, and it just has overwhelmed it, so it's taken a while for the streets to drain out. Buffalo Bayou is still rising. This is, again, Buffalo Bayou. This is at St. Thomas High School. The main channel is here. This is where we've got one of the walking trails. There is a bridge here, but over the past hour, the bayou's come up even more, and that bridge has now become submerged. So I just checked. Buffalo Bayou is several feet below bank full, and it looks like it's cresting. It's slowing its rise right now, but it hasn't finished rising. That's Buffalo Bayou. This is near downtown. White Oak Bayou near downtown is also, it's right near bank full, but it looks like it's cresting and may crest and drop before it goes over its bank full area. That's White Oak right near downtown. Other bayous are all beginning to drop. They're doing their job. Thank goodness that we haven't had any major home flooding from what's been a big street flooding 4th of July. Rainfall totals, Houston TransStar just west of downtown, 8 inches of rain in just the past 12 hours. Energy Park, 7.5, Jersey Village, 5, Bel Air, 5, Baytown, almost 3 inches. It was the west side that had the heavier rain today from this rain, as the main focus of this swirl in the mid-level of the atmosphere finally came on through. Had some heavy rain last night, but this was the big show this morning, and it continues, but the rainfall rates are dropping off. It's just light rain and drizzle now in Harris County. These flood warnings continue in effect for another hour or two. actually less than 30 minutes. These two flood warnings should be allowed to expire, but there will still be some high water spots there. So there's no new flooding happening, and the worst is over, and we're waiting and watching and letting the streets slowly drain down. This is a new flood warning. I'll get out there to Sealy in just a second. Closer view of the Jersey Village area downtown with all the high water spots from the earlier heavy rain. This is very heavy rain, southern Austin County. Cat Spring, Peters, 36 north of Sealy. There will be a lot of high water spots, especially out in this part of the county, in Austin County. The rural roads dip down to those creek crossings. Those may have high water and dangerous water flowing over those dips in the road out there in the rural area, rural county here in Austin County. So be very, very careful. Just stay home. Don't travel out there in southern Austin County for the next several hours.